Hey, what's going on, everybody? We're back at it again. Before we get started, I do want to say that this channel and all of the content on it is not for anybody under the ages of 13 years old. You know, standard stuff, YouTube, you guys get it, I'm sure. Alright, so we're going to get into it here with Star Wars The Black Series General Grievous. Just like my previous Count Dooku video, this is the re-released version. Just due to I missed the first release. You know how it is. So, looking at him. He's looking pretty good in the packaging. Already you can see some good paint detail on him. I know the cloak is a sticking point, so we will make sure to take a good look at that. You've got his lightsabers in there. He comes with 4 of them, as he should. Each different color like they're supposed to be. You got his blaster that Obi-Wan uses at the end. Got an image of General Grievous there on the side. Says General Grievous. You got your warnings, choking hazards, small parts. Star Wars The Black Series on the top of the box. A nice black void, nice and sleek. On the side of the box is D1 General Grievous, being that this was the first deluxe figure that the line released. On the back, so you got General Grievous. You got an image of him here. You got your warnings in different languages. Star Wars The Black Series, D1. So it says, General Grievous. General Grievous was a brilliant separatist military strategist and a feared Jedi hunter, known for his ruthlessness and hacking cough. His body itself was a weapon, allowing him lightning-quick strikes and devastating blows. But he was also quick to run from a fight, a tactic that worked until one fatal meeting with Obi-Wan Kenobi. And, pretty sure all of us know that scene by now. The good old hello there. On the bottom of the box, you've got your barcode, legalese, warnings, all that good stuff. On the side, it says General Grievous, and then in the gray, it says Grievous. So we'll go ahead and get this guy cracked open and see what he's about. Alright, so cracking this guy open, we have General Grievous with his cloak on at the moment, kind of hunched down. We'll say the cloak is kind of disappointing, and he's a little fiddly, especially when putting together the arms, like I'll demonstrate here in a moment. But overall, he's actually pretty good. My biggest, I guess you could call it a gripe, is probably he is a little small. He's on the smaller side. In the movie, you know, he towers over Anakin and Obi-Wan, and he's still hunched over. So when he stands up, he should be a pretty big figure. Not to say that this figure is not a big figure. It just could be a little bigger. So we'll start with the cloak. As you saw, you just pull it off. With promo images and stuff, we all were kind of thinking that this was going to be Velcro or something. Or I guess be even a little bit easier to tuck in. But the collar tends to push up a lot, so you have to kind of have him wear it like this. Which isn't terrible, but it's not fantastic. It does not have the symbol on the back, like a lot of you probably already knew. However, it does have 4 pockets on this side for his lightsabers. I wish we would have had 4 pockets on the other side too, but I guess beggars can't be choosers. There is a figure arts version of this guy supposed to come out at some point. They showed a prototype of him at one of the conventions a couple of years ago, I'm pretty sure, but still haven't gotten anything yet. We know Bandai with Star Wars is kind of finicky. They don't like to release a lot of stuff, but they show a lot of stuff. I guess we'll start with details, so we'll go ahead and just get this guy off. I'll have his cloak get off here. So this dude is loaded with detail. That is one thing that Hasbro has definitely nailed home here, is the sculpt, and the detail of this guy is fantastic. So we'll get up close here with the head. As you can see, he's got dirt and scuffs and cracks in his armor all over the place. And his eyes look nice and watery. Even got him in there so you can see his green eyes with the cat-like black eye slits for his pupils. You're looking up at his neck, and you got all the wires and mechanisms going up there to help him move. His armor definitely has that bone look, and it's got cracks and dings in it and scuffs, and it's all dirtied up with a lot of nice paint. It's got some silver scrapage and stuff on his more metal parts down there at the ankle. His knees are all scuffed up. Back's a little bit clean. The sculpt is still there, but back is definitely clean on the paint department. But knowing Hasbro, that's kind of to be expected. So we've got cracks in the armor there, dents and cracks there. Even on his little butt plate, he's got cracks and scuffs. So he's got a lot of detail. They did miss the organ sac up in here, which is kind of interesting. I was hoping that might be picked out in green or something. Because on the vintage collection figure that I had way back when I was a kid, I remember he had this chest armor could be pulled off, and he had the green organ sac underneath, but I guess they didn't want to go that direction with this guy. So he stands pretty tall. I do want to address that, because a lot of people do say he's kind of too short, and I can see where they're coming from with that, but he's not, I guess, he's not unusable. The model kit, I've heard, is fantastic for size, but it's also not going to have the durability of this guy, and if you want the same detail with the paint, you're going to have to paint it yourself. So, just a quick comparison before I get into articulation here. We'll stick him with his master, Count Dooku. So standing straight, he's still at least a head taller than Dooku, which is pretty good. So I think it's pretty usable. So getting into articulation, this guy actually has quite a bit, and it's kind of interesting how they worked some of this. So, going back to the vintage collection figure, the articulation style is a lot of the same, like the same concept, but the engineering of this is way more refined, and they've got more in it, because obviously it's a bigger scale figure. So for the neck, if you look, see if I can't get it down in there. Get a light on it. He's got a ball joint down in there, masked behind all those wires. So at the base of his neck, he's got a ball joint, and it's not hindered by these wires at all. So the ball joint actually goes all the way down. And he's also got a ball joint up in the top of his head, which allows him to look nice and far down, so anybody he is towering over, he can stare straight down at him. That also goes for looking up. General Grievous actually has a very nice upward gaze that you can get with him. And he gets a good amount of tilt for each side. Something I do want to point out that I definitely like is on the vintage figure, these little side fins on his helmet were a hard plastic, whereas this time they're nice soft rubber. If you were a kid like me and you played with your Star Wars figures a lot, these would break quite often off the side of his head, so that's nice. For his arms, it's kind of interesting, so I'll see if I can't get back here. So, his arms do split, so each arm is on their own little, I'll use his lightsaber, on their own little ball joint and hinge system up in here. But as well as when his arms are together, this shoulder piece, let's see if I can get it to focus, I'm sorry guys, this shoulder piece is also on a ball joint. So when his arms are together, you get kind of a simulated butterfly joint. Doesn't move too much, but that also gives you your rotation. So that way his arms can still go out and rotate and do everything they need to when he's got his arms together. And then I'll go ahead and demonstrate his arms separate. And now each of these arms moves freely on that little system in there, which is very nice. So you can have Grievous do pretty much anything you need him to with his arms split, and he can still function just fine with his arms put back together. So whatever display you want to do, whatever pose you want to do, you're not going to have too much of a problem. The only hindrance is when his arms are together, they do only bend inside and they only go that far. You can get a little bit of twist, but it does try to break up right in here. So I'll get to the articulation on the arms, and then I'll show you how to put them back together. So his arms, each arm has their own swivel in there, and it also has a hinge. At the top of the bicep, where the spindly metal piece meets kind of the bone section here, so that is on a swivel, simulating a bicep swivel. You have a hinge at the elbow, and then there's also a forearm swivel. Nothing at the wrist, but you don't really need it with the forearm, and I'd prefer there not be anything at the wrist anyway, because otherwise that'd be a very tiny joint and increase the risk of breaking. So to put his arms together, you want to kind of have them in this configuration on each side. And you kind of want to have the arms look like that. So there's a tab on this arm. Let's see if I can get it focused. There you go. Tab on that arm. There is a slot on the back of that arm. So you're going to start from the top, push those together, and then there is a tab on that forearm right here, and a slot on the inside of that one. And those will kind of press together. And then there's a peg and a hole at the wrist. So you'll push that all together. Make sure everything's nice and tight. And there you go. When I got mine, I opened mine up. It was not really wanting to stick in there, but probably 30 seconds with a blow dryer, push that together in there, and I've not had a problem since. So everything's perfectly fine there. For rest of articulation, so he's got a diaphragm joint, so he can bend back about that far. He can hunch forward that far. And obviously he's got side to side, and he's got a swivel. For the legs, at his hips are just on a ball joint, so his hips will go up quite far. Grievous can high kick all the way up into the air. He can kick pretty far back. It kind of gets stopped with that metal piece on his back plate there, but nice far back kick. He only gets out that far, so you're not going to get a lot of out with Grievous, but you know, you can manage. His knees are quite interesting. So his knees actually have 3 joints. So there's a top joint that goes that far, and then you've got your double joint. Sorry, mine's a little stiff. That'll go that far. And then if you want to extend even further, there's actually a joint right there in this curve, and that will go just that extra bit further. And all together, he can fold in on himself, and he's actually kicking his own back instead of his own ass. So that's nice. I do want to point out, a lot of people with the first run of this figure had a lot of issues with their knees. I did not have any issues with the knees for this figure, but if you do end up having any issues, so if you have any problems with your knees, I do suggest this is Kiki Fix Loose Joints. I got mine off of Amazon, but you can also get this off of eBay if it's available on there. This stuff works wonders. Put it 1 or 2 coats, leave it for a couple hours. 24 hours is recommended, but you do want to move it at least every 12 hours, so that way the joint doesn't get stuck. But this stuff works wonders. I had on my Cara Dune Black Series figure, her ankle was super loose. Put that stuff on there, and it's like it's brand new. So, that's nice. Back into articulation. So at his ankles, his shins move up, and then his ankles are on a nice little hinge. As for accessories, he comes with his blaster. And that's picked up pretty nice. It's just got some dry brushing on it. Pretty simple. Nice little sculpt. So there's that. Obviously he comes with the cloak. It's actually 2 pieces of fabric this time. which is interesting that it's just not sewn at the bottom. Move him out of the way. The cloak's not sewn at the bottom at all, so it's just kind of open in there. So this is kind of disappointing. I'm glad they included it, but they could have done better with it. So he comes with 4 lightsabers. And these lightsabers, he's got 2 blue and 2 green. Each hilt is actually different. So this one, I believe, it's actually modeled after Plo Koon's lightsaber. Correct me if I'm wrong. And this one is actually modeled after Kit Fisto's lightsaber. So if you get those figures from the Black Series, I believe a lot of people have been swapping those out. So he has his first green lightsaber, which I actually don't know what this Jedi's lightsaber is modeled after, so you guys can tell me in the comments below if you know. But this is actually an upscaled mold from one of the lightsabers he came with in the vintage figure, so that's nice. And this one actually is as well, Kit Fisto's. If you have the old vintage carded figure, these 2 lightsabers are actually the 2 that he comes with, so that's nice. And these lightsabers all look nice. They're all picked out in paint with nice silver. This one's even got some gold highlight at the top of the emitter. Got the red buttons. This one, I'm not sure whose lightsaber this belonged to either. I'm sure somebody down in the comments below can tell me. But it's picked out nicely. Got black around the guard. I believe that's your red ignition switch. Nice green color, and all of the lightsabers do have the removable blade, and they come out nice and easy. The blades for this is actually unique Sculpt, which I like that Hasbro's been doing that. So that peg is actually different than, let's say, the peg that came on Count Dooku's lightsaber. I actually like this peg a lot more. It's a lot easier to kind of put it in and pull it out. But just to demonstrate that these blades are all removable. Take a blue one. Same thing. Same peg. None of these actually have the peg on the hilt to hook to a belt or anything. But obviously they all fit in the cloak. So I'll demonstrate that here. Pull that one out nice and easy. You got your cloak, and they just fit in the pocket. So that's nice. If you want to display them with a nice collection on him, you can do that. Let's get him posed up here. So we'll split these arms up, because 4 arms are always more intimidating than 1, right? That's how he killed a lot of Jedi in the Clone Wars, was using his 4 arms to basically just intimidate Jedi and sever their connection to the Force in their panic, and then he would strike them down. For all of you that didn't know. In the original Clone Wars series, obviously, he was straight just a Jedi hunting murder machine, but the Grievous we got in the new Clone Wars show and in the movies is more of a cowardly tactician. So he's better off getting the upper hand just by scaring some Jedi and then doing what he needs to do. Some of these are a little loose in his hand. You can always test them around, see what'll work with that. But let's get them all in his hands here. These are all pretty easy to slide in. His fingers will stretch open. Oh, don't want to break his wrist there. Always be careful with your toys, guys. Always be careful. Have him hold that one. Well, here, these 2 are a thicker hilt, so let's actually see if you'll hold those better, because I'm picky about my lightsaber holding murder cyborgs. There you go, that's a nice tight grip. These top ones can afford to be a little looser because of how the molding is. So slide that one up in there. Oh, that's good. He holds that nice and tight. Let's see about this one. Doing my best not to scratch off the paint, but gotta get him in there, you know? There we go. Get that one down in there. He holds that nice and tight. So the only one that's still a little loose is this one, but I remember on mine, there's a little trick spot right there. Still a little loose, but you can work with it. So there's General Grievous in his forearm murdery wrath. Let's get him back there. So let's get into some comparisons. First, we will do the only other deluxe Black Series figure that I actually currently own, which is Paz Vizsla, the Heavy Mandalorian. So we'll get him up there next to him. So he's standing pretty tall. The Heavy Mandalorian is obviously a bulky guy, whereas Grievous is more of a spindly cyborg. But that's a decent size. Get him out of there. We'll give him a couple of Jedi to hunt. So we'll put in the Jedi Fallen Order Cal Kestis. And Clone Wars Season 7 Ahsoka Tano, because Ahsoka and him have had a couple of run-ins. And he towers over these two, so I think his size is still pretty good. He definitely fits, but he could be taller. We'll put him next to the Sith Lord that trained him in Obi-Wan's Jedi arts. And we will put him next to another cyborg, Darth Vader. And he's actually even taller than Darth Vader, so size is pretty good. You can definitely work with it. Take these guys away. And for another comparison, we'll put him next to the B-1 battle droids that he absolutely hates. Because he hates the fact that he's now a droid. If you guys know, General Grievous' story was that he once was an actual alien that Count Dooku ordered to be shot down, and in the explosion he was critically injured, and so they turned him into a cyborg to hunt Jedi during the Clone Wars. So he hates droids, not a fan at all, and he hates the fact that he has become one due to his circumstances. But I guess final thoughts here. I like the figure a lot. I think Hasbro did a good job on it. Like I said, a couple of nitpicks here and there, but overall the figure is fantastic. You can get them in some nice poses. Details superb. So overall I like it a lot. I got mine from Big Bad Toy Store, like I did with Count Dooku. Shipment just came in recently. Pre-orders took a while to come in, but as far as I know, he is up for sale right now, currently in stock. So if you guys want to get your Hasbro Black Series figures from Big Bad Toy Store, I'm not sponsored, but I definitely recommend them. Stay safe, everybody. Y'all have a good one.